welcome to Scary Movies. This week I wanted to take a look at the Buffalo Bills turnovers versus the Chicago Bears. So let's get rolling. We're going to start off with the probably easiest of the three, which is the ball that was dislodged from Gabe Davis's hands. And you may notice that, unlike what I usually do, I am using the broadcast angles for this. And that's because I want to talk about angles quite a bit today as we go through the three turnovers from the Buffalo Bills. Now, going through full speed, you may have noticed the left hand come up from Matthew Adams, but maybe not. It's a little less obvious on this angle. And certainly when you're taking a look at the impact, just because Gabe Davis is turned with his back towards us, it is very difficult to see exactly how that ball is coming out. Now, luckily with the replay, we often get very beneficial angles because of the number of cameras on the NFL field. And so here we see a much more deliberate version of the Matthew Adams punch. And I want to pause here just to take a quick look at what Gabe Davis is doing during this. Now, I can't fault him for having this right hand loose because he is trying to run and evade and a couple of other things. And the next thing I'm going to point out, I also don't want to hammer the guy for, but it is crucial to what happened here. So typically, we see that the receiver would have the hand a little bit underneath the ball and compressing towards the chest or rib cage. And just see this little bit of float as he takes this step. The ball comes a little bit away from his stomach, abdomen, ribs, the area where you'd usually be trying to cradle, and that provides enough separation for that hit for Adams to dislodge the ball. And it is agonizing in slow motion. So let's get on to the next play. And with this one, we are going to go back to the coach's film views, starting with the sideline, or what's generally called the all-22 view. And this is the interception that was intended for Isaiah McKenzie. This play was a 2nd and 19, so the Buffalo Bills do need to get to about the 9-yard line for a first down. Obviously, they have a couple tries for it. First off, take a look at Josh Allen's body language. It does look like he is starting with this side of the field for his reads. So while we do have a potential play developing down here, this is probably not where he's looking right away. We do have a short gain here that could maybe offer some help for this 2nd and 19. But as Josh Allen cocks back, look at what he's seeing. We do have Isaiah McKenzie coming over this direction. And on the broadcast angle, this one was crucified for Allen, primarily because he is throwing into double coverage for McKenzie. But let's talk about the physics here. This defender, who will eventually take the ball from McKenzie's hands, is crossing over in this direction. Now, unless he can stop and start coming back to the play coming in this direction very quickly, it's not a bad guess necessarily that he may overshoot and take himself out of the play. Unfortunately, he is quite capable of putting the brakes on, coming back, and snatching the ball. Now, additionally, one of the things I want to point out with this particular angle, if you were watching this during the broadcast, or we will take a look at the end zone view in just a second here, the perspective of the distance can be drastically skewed based off of the different angles. And this one in particular, this really shows you the distance of a 35-yard throw. This is just over a third of the field. Not the easiest of throws, especially in a windy game. And we'll come back to that as we take a look at the end zone angle here in just a second. And for the sake of the Buffalo Bills fans, who are my primary audience, we're not going to watch the return on this interception. So here we do have the end zone angle. This is the same play. And pay attention to how the field gets distorted from this angle. Now, this was one of our better looking plays from the other angle, but here it doesn't look like it's a very good gain at all. And as Allen releases the ball, we see the defender change direction, snatches the ball, and unfortunately, play that could have turned the tides in a closer contest. Now, what I wanted to highlight in this one is that there is potentially an opportunity for this ball to be completed, especially if this defender does continue moving in this direction and takes himself out of the play. What I mean specifically is the ball leads closer to the corner of the end zone. McKenzie certainly can still get behind both defenders and make the catch. Was wind a factor? We'll never know for sure, but that is a possibility for this throw. And for a final one, we will take a look at both angles as well. And I have a couple stopping points, and for those of you who don't like the math aspects of some of what I do, this might be a good time to stop the video. Not that I'm encouraging you to do that. So this one was intended for James Cook. This was a 2nd and 7 with the first down marker being about here. And let's take a look at some of the options for Josh Allen on the field. We have excellent coverage up here. We have Stephon Diggs, who's actively working back towards the play, but does have a defender that can cross over into the passing lane. We have Dawson Knox here down in the corner, who we'll come back to in a second. And we have James Cook, who has just helped with pass protection and is slipping out for the safety valve throw. Now at this point where Josh Allen has decided to pull the trigger, we see that there's also this option up here, and this is where I want to start talking about the math. With this angle of the field, it's a little more clear just how wide this is. Believe it or not, the 100-yard length field is also over 52 yards wide. That means in order to make this throw, this is roughly a 25-yard pass, where the defender only has to cover 3 to break it up. This is not a great option. Between James Cook and Dawson Knox, we have, again, probably over a 20-yard pass versus a 6-yard pass. Plus, James Cook is already further downfield than Knox is, and likely, with the time to pass being so much shorter, has a better opportunity for yards after catch. So for this throw, great decision, just a little bit of an overthrow. And we will take a quick look at the end zone angle just to see how close this really was. A quick pitch would have been a very successful play. Josh Allen does not appear to be throwing a ton of heat on this pass. So again, was the wind a factor? Was this just a quick miscue? Best we can say for sure, it is an overthrow. Interception benefits the Bears. Thanks for watching again this week. Hit like, subscribe, swear at me in the comments, whatever floats your boat. Check out more great content on BuffaloRumblings.com, and I'll see you again next week.